Right now, while the whole world is watching explosion over Tehran and following updates on Iran-America war, Afghanistan is quietly collapsing and nobody's talking about it. My name is Afghan Psycho and I'm Afghan, and today I'm going to break down exactly how the Iran-America war is destroying Afghanistan economically, humanitarianly, and geopolitically right now in 2026, because my people deserve to be more than a footnote. Let's start from the beginning, fast. On February 28, 2026, the United States and Israel launched a joint military operation against Iran, codenamed Operation Epic Fury. They targeted Iranian military infrastructure, leadership, and key cities including Tehran and Isfahan. Iran fought back. Missile strikes, drone attacks, closing the Strait of Hormuz. The world went into panic mode. Oil price surged, global supply chains broke, NATO cracked, China and Russia watched and waited. And in the middle of all this, Afghanistan, a country that shares a nearly 1,000-kilometer border with Iran, a country where millions of Afghans had been living and working in Iran just to survive, a country that depends on Iranian ports for access to global trade. When Iran caught fire, Afghanistan burned with it. Here's a number that could stop you in your tracks. Over 1.7 million Afghans were deported from Iran in 2025 alone. And since the war began in February 2026, the number has kept growing, with an estimate of 1,700 Afghans crossing back into Afghanistan every single day. These aren't people who choose to come home. These are families who had built lives in Iran, working in construction factories, workshops in Tehran and Isfahan, two of the most heavily bombed cities in the conflict. When the bombs started falling, their job disappeared. When production stopped, their income disappeared. And when Iran's economy began collapsing under US-Israeli airstrikes, the families had no choice but to leave. Men, women, children walking across the border with nothing. One aid worker described it simply: coming back to Afghanistan would mean poverty, unemployment, hunger, and more instability. And they came back anyway, because in Iran there was nothing left. Now let's talk about what this means on the ground, specifically in Herat, the western province that borders Iran directly. Before Iran war, food prices in Afghanistan were already rising due to the Pakistan-Afghanistan conflict that had erupted simultaneously. When Pakistan closed its border routes, the price of 10 kilo tobacco price jumped from $22 to $39, almost instantly. That's nearly double. Then the Iran war hit and it got worse. Iran was Afghanistan's backup supply route through the port of Bandar Abbas and the port of Chabahar. The routes are now either destroyed or completely disrupted. Iran's two largest steel plants were hit by repeated US-Israeli airstrikes. Construction work in Herat, one of the main employers of the daily laborers, has come to a near total halt. A 22-year-old plasterer working in Herat put it like this: everywhere you turn, there are now 4 times as many workers and not even half as much work. 4 times the worker, half the work, and price doubling. This is a livelihood crisis. This is what war looks like when you're not the one being bombed. Now here where it gets truly alarming. According to the United Nations, 17.4 million Afghans are currently facing crisis level or worse food insecurity. That's not people who are hungry. That's people in what the UN classifies as an emergency. Nearly 4.7 million of those are in phase 4, emergency hunger, one step away from famine. Emergency hunger levels in Afghanistan rose by more than 50% compared to last year. And the aid, it's not coming. The UN launched a $1.7 billion humanitarian appeal for Afghanistan in 2026. As of April, only 11% of that has been funded. Why? Because as one aid director said directly to journalists, there is no interest. We can't get major donors to fund the Afghanistan. response because the focus is on Lebanon, on Iran. The world has a limited amount of attention, and right now, Afghanistan is losing the competition for it. Let me put this into perspective geopolitically. At the same moment the Iran-American war began, Pakistan launched attacks on Afghan cities, Kabul, Kandahar, Asadabad, urban strikes, civilian casualties, a drug rehabilitation clinic bombed, killing hundreds. Pakistan attacking Afghanistan, America attacking Iran, both happening simultaneously. Afghanistan trapped in the middle. Iran had actually been offering to mediate the Pakistan-Afghanistan crisis when the US-Israeli bombs started falling on Tehran. That mediation immediately collapsed. The $6 billion Uzbekistan-Afghanistan-Pakistan railway project meant to open Central Asia to global trade is now frozen. The Pakistan-Afghanistan trade corridor is closed. The Iranian sea routes were destroyed. Qatar, which broke peace between Kabul and Islamabad in the late 2025, is now consumed by its own regional crisis. Every diplomat lifeline Afghanistan had is now cut. I want to end with something real. There is a man named Samiullah. He has his wife Bibi Rehana and their children were deported from Iran in December 2025. They were photographed shooting outside a tent on the outskirts of Kabul in freezing cold. They were among 1.3 million Afghans deported by Iran that year. Over 5 million Afghans have returned to Afghanistan since 2023. 5 million people returning to our country with 13% unemployment, where humanitarian aid is at 11% funded, where food prices has doubled, and where bombs from a neighboring country continue to fall. This is not statistic, this is a people, my people. The Iran-America war is a global story, but inside that global story is an Afghan story that the world is choosing not to tell. Millions of people displaced, cities being bombed, trade routes destroyed, children going hungry. Afghanistan is not collateral damage. Afghanistan is a country with 40 million people with history, culture, resilience, and right now with a crisis that demands attention. Share this video, talk about it, because the first step to helping a people is simply knowing what there is going on. Afghanistan deserves better than silence.